So, welcome to the Leadership Podcast, Vivek. I'm really glad to have you here, and especially on the topic that we have. How are you doing today?
I'm doing awesome. Thank you so much for bringing me here.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. That's good. I see that you have a smile, like no stress. We are going live for that, and I hope we'll have some questions also from the public because that's always interesting. So, for people that don't know you, can you tell us what you do?
Okay, let me stick to, because it's live on LinkedIn and Twitter, let me keep it professional. So
We
I'm
can.
working as a CTO with Tutoring for You, and
Yeah.
we are into like one-to-one educating the children.
Okay.
And before that, I have been the product manager, CTO with another EdTech company. So my career in EdTech company has kind of education has called me back. While I did my own education, now it's my responsibility to give it back to the world that I have taken from. So I'm just giving it back with the leverage with the technology. So yeah, as I said, so I started my academics with I'm a software engineer, did my double masters in business, and yeah, and after that I've been into different jobs, working different industries, and I think edtech was my calling. So I'm staying there, being relevant.
That's good. That's good. I like EdTech. It's a good industry. It's a good domain. And then maybe because everybody complains about education, I don't know. Maybe that's why. I'm not sure. So I'm tutoring for you. Just to come back to that, so for people to understand, I saw that you were personalizing the tutor, right? This is what you say. You
Absolutely.
personalize the service. So what does that mean for people? Because
Personalized. So the I won't say it's a problem, but that's the comprehension that we have in education. So we always get confused between the ability of a child to learn and the style of learning that he has.
okay,
So what we are trying to solve is, or probably make more relevant, is to get the learning of a human mind better than just getting a better score on the mark sheets. So we are following certain theories that we actually work with, and I personally is very much kind of involved into implementing that theory, and in a way that it gets personalized for an individual level rather than the whole group, or how the standard education system works. So yeah, we are just trying to be as personalized as possible over the education component, or the learning part of the human brain.
okay, so many questions. Just to let you know, we have Binona that says Binona Roy, that you may know, that says good luck to you, and Parul that says way to go Vivek, awesome. So you have already some support in the comments in LinkedIn. Just let you know, you have like you're supported.
All right,
Um,
thank you so much.
so you said that you're how do you personalize to the learning of a person?
Yeah, so very good question actually. So it's like, how do you personalize is like how we learn as a human brain, how we learn. So
Hmm.
there's one theory which is called VARK theory. It's a VARK acronym.
Okay.
So VARK stands for, V stands for visual learners, and A stands for oral or auditory learning, and R stands for read write, and stands for kinesthetics. So
Okay.
just a brief about how human brain learns. It is one of the theories. There are many theories that are popular, but this one is kind of taking up really, really large accolades that people are following, tutors are following, teachers are following. So how we perceive it as a human brain, I personally, I can tell by my example that I'm more of a visual learner. I see things and I learn things. There can be
Hmm.
other people who are more oral or auditory learners. If you tell them, do this or this is how it is, there you go. I've got another example now. So auditory is the one that you hear, and then you do it and you learn how you have learned it. So you have higher probability of learning certain concepts or certain things. Similarly, you have got read and write, where somebody who is like, how he learns best is he can make notes of it, and then he
Okay.
makes notes. He make, let's say there are like few good, I came across like few people, especially the sales people, who would be much more interested in taking notes while you are talking. They are always taking notes.
Hmm.
This is the kind of learners which are more likely to have a read write component higher than rest of the three components.
Yeah.
And there is still a very good number of people who are kinesthetics people. So largely, which is like mechanical engineers or the construction people. So they
Learning by doing.
do it themselves. That's
Okay.
how they learn it. So if you tell them, they will still have to do it, and then they'll know, oh, this is what it is.
Okay.
Yeah,
And can you be multiple of them, or is
absolutely.
it like one predominantly?
Yeah, again, a very, very good question, because largely this is how it has been perceived, that while implementing this theory, it is assumed that you are one kind of a learner, but you're not one kind of learner. It is always a weighted one. More so that it is sometimes the what we say the stimuli. Sometimes even that is also subjected to this particular theory, that it has to fall in certain categories. Let's say if I take an example of photosynthesis, where
Hmm.
a human intervention is not there. It's the plant who is taking from like taking the sunlight from and just cooking their own food, all that stuff. So that's a very conceptual thing. And let's say I'm a visual learner. If I'm given a certain technology leverage, which is like, let's say, augmented reality or something, that I'm given at like diagrams and all, I can visualize how the photosynthesis happens. But then if you then obviously if there is a lecture going on, so I may not be able to visualize, but I can remember what my teacher said, and I can then remember, oh, there is a sunlight. In the presence of sunlight, there has to be a green leaf, which have to have chlorophyll, and the chlorophyll is the one. There is some chemical composition that changes, and then this is how the food is prepared. Then there would be certain children in the same classroom who are not even visualizing the whole concept, not even listening, but they are just taking notes. So going back to the question, so it is a weighted one. It is not that I'm only listening and learning. I'm listening and then I'm taking the notes. How?
Okay.
But the brain will only get the information or will learn when I have to write it by myself. So that I become a read-like learner more so. The proportionate is more. Similarly, I have to see the leaf as a visual learner, but that doesn't mean that I have to be deaf. I still have to hear something, that this is how the process should be. So it's a weighted one. So the again going back to what we are trying to establish, or what we're trying to prove, or what we are trying to do is that this particular VARK theory, comparing to other theories which are equally popular, this one theory hasn't got that much of gravity so far, and there has not been a good sample size that the study has gone through. Studies are still going on. It started like some 1934 that surfaced for the first time, and
Hmm.
then since then, even like 2021, 2020, there was another university that is still conducting this research. But the challenge of this particular theory getting implemented in the real classroom is, first, the tutors or the teachers doesn't have that much of aid to explain that how the
Yeah.
things is going to be. And the second is, the obviously, as I said, like the sample size is so small that the uh, if I would have to say, the positives are still not very kind of it's not still like it's a factual thing. Again, saying the theory, it's a theory. We are doing it, and as per the research that we did when we were starting tutoring for you, so we did some research in the UK and the US. There was some statistics that says 95% of the teachers in the school and tutors alike, they subconsciously follow VARK theory, but they don't have those elements at hand. Probably they don't have the enough visual aids, or they don't have the auditory files, audio
Hmm.
files, or probably they don't have the notes to share with the students.
Yeah.
So there's this like
And
two-way
we are trying
communication.
we are trying to apply it to a full class, right? So
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's not
So
personal.
one side is the teaching side, which has to impart that information in all the four formats. And the
Hmm.
second is the reception of that information with the students, that has to receive as per their own weighted brain capacities. Another question that rises, I'm just stretching it a little. So it is assumed that the ability is the same of all students, and the style of learning is different. So
So
when I
you're
say
so
ability, so I'm just like making it a linear, that
okay.
everyone is capable of learning. It's just that if you give a comfortable environment for brain to receive that information, I think it's very easy. So the ability of human learning is not a question.
And is this something that you see in because your last statement made me remember a lot of things. Is this what you see more like, for example, in kindergarten, where you're seeing some kids like drawing versus other kids like, trying stuff versus other, is it based on that, or is it based on something else?
It's actually based on from kindergarten to, let's say, higher education, go PhD scholars, even the labs, like the scientists. So if you find there's a very interesting study on that. From 0 to 5, as humans, we are the most intelligent because we still remember and we can visualize even the copy that we write the first alphabets, how
Hmm.
it actually looks like. But after 5 years, we have forgotten what essays we have written, which is the more complex jobs that we have done after writing the alphabets.
Okay.
So we evolved in a absolutely brilliant way. After 5 years, we got into the education system, and then we get standardized.
That's good.
Yeah,
And here we go on the education system. We start. This is 1 point for them. uh,
yeah,
I mean, it's really different across the world, because I have a feeling that I had a really good education system in France. I know that,
absolutely.
when I went on the other side of the Atlantic, like, everybody was complaining about it. So I think it's really different. And so, I guess, why people don't know about it.
Actually, as I already mentioned, subconsciously everyone is aware. Even the teachers are aware. The challenge is that they don't have enough aids
Ah, okay, okay.
to implement that theory. And that is why the sample size of this study or the theory is so small that we can't conclude on the things. So most of the studies that have been conducted by different universities, be it the American universities, Malaysian universities, like we have got many, many professors working over it. So the success rate is still more than 50%, which is a good kind of a pointer that more studies should be done on this particular theory. I mean, there are like many, many. And then the human learning is much more complicated than just putting it into a theory. How much weighted that component is, and also the one thing that VARK also says, or probably we as when we implement this theory we miss, is the stimuli itself. If it is a chemical reaction, and I'm a visual learner, even I have to do the chemical reaction in the lab. Let's say if I have to throw the sodium or a potassium onto the water to see it's burning.
Yeah.
You can tell me, I can visualize it, but I can't imagine what is the kind of
What is
fire,
the kind of reaction, or what is the kind
what
of
is the
effect?
kind of reaction, right? So the stimuli also is involved into the reception of how human learning happens.
Okay. And
Yeah.
so it's quite interesting, because you were saying before our discussion, while we were writing down for this. I mean, we had this discussion, and I told you my sister was doing. She's a teacher, and she was doing something like that. But you told me, I'm not a psychologist or a neurobiologist, but you're quite a scientist. Like, you're telling me about. So this is what you're trying to do at tutoring for you. You're
Yeah,
trying to
absolutely,
solve
absolutely.
this.
Yeah. So we are following this theory, and there are like multiple facets to it that we will be coming. Probably I know it's a long journey, but the positive part is, or the good part is, that we have initiated it, and well, we pretty confident that we would be doing it, and hopefully we can largely democratize the education, so that we, as an our assumption, that ability is not a challenge, style is the
How
challenge.
learning is the challenge.
Yeah. So we assume that every human is as intelligent as any other one. It's just that if the brain who receives in a certain way is given the information in that particular certain way. So there is a sync that we need to apply. And once the sync is there, we'll have much more intelligent people on the world walking, and no wars will happen. People will sit and talk rather than having wars.
I guess knowledge will help. And so, what is it? Why is it important for people to know their learning style?
Well, it's the same thing. It's the satisfaction. It's the satisfaction that happens when you, let's say, I would say the other way around. People get frustrated if they don't get things. And
Yeah.
second, okay, let me take a step back and say when the Industrial Revolution happened. It's a
Okay.
very, very kind of a study that
Yeah.
really, really, get my brain thinking. So if you see, the last revolution that happened was the Industrial Revolution, you know, so many years back. And then during the industrial revolution, what happened was the industries as such had a scarcity of resources.
Mm-hmm.
So the university came together and they started supplying the scarcity of resources, and then they standardized.
Yeah.
They started building batches of mechanics. They started building batches of carpenters. They started making batches and batches of a certain skill set. And
Mm-hmm.
then they standardized the whole education system. And they said, oh, if you need a job, so again, I'm saying job, then you have to follow these things.
Yeah.
And then if you get these things right, you get a good mark sheet, you get a good university, you become a scholar. Now you go ahead and start building. You have more capital, you have got more money, and that's how the commercial happiness happened. But the learning stopped.
Yeah.
Just imagine if we were learning at the same pace before the industrial revolution happened, and then thereafter, we should be reaching the stars by now. But if you see, per capita learning of individual has actually declined.
But
We
in
were
this,
6 billion or 4 billion at that time, but now we are 8 billion as a human race. But how many companies do we have?
that's where there is the good and bad of capitalism. This is where the good and bad of capitalism. We have really good comfort, we can say, with likes and everything, but at the same time, that's the other side, right?
Yeah,
That's the other side that we don't have. And so I have a question. You were asking me, like, will we get some question? I have a question from Ravi Arsh. It says, insightful discussion. Mr. Sharma, could you provide insight on designing an online learning platform that effectively engage diverse learners with different needs and learning style?
yeah, okay. So it's a simpler one. Thank you so much, Ravi Harsh. I think it's the
Arsh,
name.
yeah.
Yeah, Harsh. Yeah. So yeah, so Harsh, it's a very simple process, like even simpler than it is said. But building it is difficult. The process is first you have to profile the learner. What kind
Mhm.
of profiling that you have, and once you have, so it's a more of a psychometrician task that usually you have like 16 or 15 questions, whatever you want, and then you weight them accordingly. And once you have profiled the learner in a certain way, then you can always supply the learner's brain with the same amount of content and the style of the content. For example, I take my own example. I take an assessment of, let's say, 16 questions or 15 questions. And now the system or the platform understands me as a, let's say, 60% visual learner or 30% auditory learner and 5% each. For example, I'm just taking a hypothetical example. So the platform has to provide me if I have to learn something. Let's say I'm learning French. So I have to be given a visual more. And if I'm stuck with the visual, I should also be given auditory files so that I can first visualize the, let's say, alphabet. Oh, this is how it is written, or this is what the structure of the whole word is. Let's say bonjour, and I know, oh, this is how it is, and then I know, oh, how it sounds, you know, because I can always say bonjour, which is like more English, and French will just take a knife out and say, no, no, it's bonjour. So before I do that, I should be given an auditory file because I still understand auditory. I'm not, it's completely zero on my auditory. And once that is done, if I'm still stuck, I should be given an opportunity as a learner to write it so that I know, oh, this is how it is. If I have gone through this, then I would be more likely to understand what I'm learning, and I would be much more comfortable why I do it. How you develop a platform, it's pretty much the same. That first, profile it. Second, supply the same information in the same proportion. If you're able to do it, good. If not, give a regressive kind of it's a cyclic way. So give him more regression on it. That one is it one go? No. Second go? No. Or if, let's say, assuming that the profiling went wrong, change the weightage. So if I'm not getting 3 times correct as a visually, ask them to have notes on it, or ask them
Mhm.
to have the, let's say, auditory one. Okay, let's say bonjour, bonjour, bonjour. So oh, bonjour. Yeah, now I get it. So that's how you do it. Why it is more comfortable now? Because of the leverage that you have with AI, especially the generative AI, because it can generate the information because profiling is already done and AI understands us I think, like, how would I say? My wife would understand me less than the AI. So AI can give me more exactly what I want.
Is she listening?
I hope my wife is not listening. So, so yeah, so that's how you do it. So once you have got the first profiling correct, then you get the supply correct, and then the regression, and that's it. That's how you learn it. I think it's a 3-step, but then there's many micro levels you do it.
That's at the same time really scary and really hopeful, because I remember when we were in school, right? People were like, okay, to learn, like, I'm going to write on the blackboard and you have to write down, or I'm going to tell you and you have to memorize it, or you have to, like, there was different style. Like, I remember when I was a kid, the different teacher were taking different styles, and some people in the class were doing really well depending on one style. Some people were really doing really bad, and I don't know if you had the same experience, but I truly remember that. And so, does this affect also, like, what people say when they say, oh, but when I was in school, I couldn't memorize stuff, I was not really good at that? Is it also how you can train your brain to develop the capabilities?
Absolutely. So the third caveat to this particular mechanism is that our understanding changes over time because of our situations, because of the stimuli that we come across, because brain is the amazing machine that we have, and it will keep on changing. It will keep on, dissecting the information that it gets. So let's say I am in a, let's say I'm in a family. So I have a little son, and he does in a certain way, and I know what is the the scope of maneuverability I have.
Mm-hmm.
So over a period of time, I also see him growing. So I cannot tell him that, oh, 2 plus 2 is 4 when he's turning 17. I said, oh, it's 2 plus 2 is 4. No, he has evolved. Similarly, we as humans, when we are in school, later we go to the university, we go to our jobs, our environment changes, and our brain, as a reception of all the information, dissects the information in a very different way. And brain is such a smart machine that it will always keep you, surviving. So
Mm-hmm.
it will not let you die. It will never let you out of sync of your environments. It will always keep you there. So probably in the school you might be very good because you had got ample bandwidth to work on your homework. Probably you had got a day to get your maths, your chemistry, your English done. But once you get into the job, you have got 10 different tasks to do, and you can't be saying, "Oh, I still need 1 hour to do it," because that's not the survival. So the brain gets to the next level of understanding and keeps the cues like this. And you might be like, let me say my example. I might be a visual learner, but since I have got 10 people talking to me, my brain switches to auditory more because I have to just get the information, get the task delegated, and just get it done off the table. So we also evolve. The brain evolves. Again, it is coming back to the stimuli itself. Like what is stimulating the brain to learn things? So we can always change. For example, let's say I am very good at school. Not that I'm saying that I'm very good. I was not good. I was still the byproduct of education system. So
It's easy.
let's say I'm good with
Really,
the
I don't. Okay, let's just do a topic on that. I don't understand. School is easy. School is a system. There is rules. If you respect the rules, whatever you do on the side, if you just go with the rules of his teacher, you're gonna be good. It's
yeah.
not a question. It's not a question how intelligent you are. It's not a question how can you apply the knowledge. It's not a question of how good you are in life. It has nothing to do with that. I think this is where we make a mistake.
Pure, absolutely pure distilled information that you got. So you might become a good student, but you don't become a good learner.
Exactly. But exactly, that's true. Like you were, and this is what was so interesting. I saw that with some people where it was like they were like first of a class, they were like, getting all the essays right and everything. But then you put them like, and you have that a lot in physics, chemistry, and all that, where you have to solve a problem.
Yeah,
And we had a teacher that was, it was quite, it was at the same time really, it was really funny, but at the same time, it was not the classical teacher. It was giving us problems that we had to figure out. It was not a straight answer. And you were seeing those people like being really good in certain course, and in his course like being like bad because they had to think. They have to
correct.
they need to find the way, the path to find the answer. And I
Yeah.
don't know if you can develop that, but I guess you can.
You can always, again, as I said, brain is the best machine we have, and it is very, very much, always active and much more than we think. And just to add on to the same point, from the school to the university, if you see all the best of the Ivy League universities, the top of the country universities, they will not follow the same pattern. They will let the students do their thing. Like all the entrepreneurship programs that you have, let's say I'm from India, so we have got this IMs. So they just let the people go, do stuff, build business while you're studying it. Even the Ivy League universities, they what they do, they just give you the case studies or build a business, talk to the seniors. So they are actually bringing the learning back. But the standard school, under the caveat that, oh, we need to have a certain level of fundamentals right, we are actually spoiling the whole brain mechanism of learning of a human. That, oh, this is how you get a good mark sheet, and that is how you get to the next class. And if you
Mhm.
keep on doing it, after 12 years of training to get standardized, we get into the university and then we say, oh, I never wanted to be that. I'm an engineer academically, but I like guitar the most. I can't live without guitar because he's an auditory learner, got into the standard of education system, and he's yeah, there you go, get out, earn money, being an engineer, not as a guitarist.
Yeah. I mean, if we could follow our passion, like follow your passion, and then
Yeah, yeah, follow your passion.
have
Yeah,
to reimburse. It's like this is where also the system is wrong. It's not just about sending it. Like I don't think, as you said, before it was pushed that everybody should go to university.
yeah,
So, for example, in France, for a while, and this is funny when you are from out of France, being a baker was not seen as good, right? When you were in France, imagine. Okay, so everybody wanted to go to university because to be a baker, it's like in high school you decide to go for a professional career. So, which means plumber, baker, those kind of jobs. It was not going to university, and people were put into their mind by society that you need to go to university. That's the thing you need to do. And what is so funny is that when we arrived at university and we went, in the world, we were seeing outside friends that the baker were earning like so much money
yeah.
because it
There
was
you
like, oh,
go.
that's a French baguette. That's so good. And we're like, yeah, that's just
Yeah,
professional school. It's not cool.
yeah,
And so this is the second thing that the education system, even there, like has completely forgotten for certain kind of people and are like misleading most of the people there.
yeah,
So are
yeah.
you saying that you wanna go against this system and you want to change it?
No, I still want to be in the system. I am not
Okay.
that revolutionary. Probably the next three generation would be. I still have to get the food on the table. I won't be going against it. So yeah. So what we are trying, we are just trying to get a sync created between a human learning as well as the people that we were training. And fortunate enough, I'm into EdTech. I can do the stuff that kind of you know being an Indian, or the belief system I have. At some point in my age, I have to give back, and I
Okay.
think I already started early, so I'm now giving back to the society. That I've got education, I got to a certain level. Now or for me, it's a payback time. So I'm letting the next generation, which is my large vision, democratize the education so that everybody gets to a certain level of their ability. I'm not saying a standard ability. Once
Hmm.
they get it, we'll have a much more beautiful world because it's a more educated one, and everybody is the specialist of what they do, and also what they do is the best of their capability, which will actually keep the learning curve of humanity a little more steeper than what we have right now. So yeah,
No,
that's
that's good. That's good that you're already thinking about your legacy, which is one of the questions that I have each time. But it's good that you're already thinking about that on how you can. And it's quite interesting that we always go back to education. I notice a lot of people are going towards education. Like I talk to a lot of people what they want to do in their future life, like when they have enough money or whatever. They're like, okay, I would like to do something to help society. I would like to do something to help. Sometimes, most of the time, kids. This is what I noticed. Like, it's like, okay, how can I have the next generation not do the same mistakes, right?
yeah,
Or not go through the same thing that we have been going through, and try to make the world, better place. Which sounds really I mean, that sounds really Silicon Valley, but it's something else. But we've, you said about AI and everything, and so for the people that think, yeah, but there is AI, and as you said, like, and some people put some comments about the wife on board man. This is a bit that said that.
Oh, can you edit that one, please?
Too
Oh,
late.
it's live. Shit, I missed it.
It's too late. With people that are saying, okay, we have AI now, and AI is understanding us, and AI is doing a lot of stuff. I would say the question is, what is the point in even continuing of learning?
Very, very interesting. Very interesting, actually. What is the point of learning? So once we have a cumulative learning, for example, as a human race, so we will. So I'm not saying I'm not giving a very dismal picture of the future. I'm just saying that there will be a competition later. That who is better, a human emotion is better, or automation of emotion is more relevant. You will always have a race which are like we always had. Like you look into the history books, you will always find how human has evolved. There might be some more intelligent species that have always existed, got instinct, and now this is what I foresee in like millions of years. Probably we will be interplanetary by that time, but then there will be a human human generated race and a machine generated race. So there will be like two. Like we have got so many religion, belief systems, and everything. So gradually it will just switch to two. Were you made in a lab or you were made out of a human?
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. And when we compare the intelligence, of course, the near future looks like the machine's going to take over our intelligence. The only thing that will, which I am very optimistic about the world, is that we will also elevate our intelligence so high that because we are the ones who have created these machines. We will obviously, once you have got so much of intelligence going around, as a human brain, our stimuli is much more smarter. And since we have survived centuries, we'll survive there also. And we've become much more intelligent what we have. Like probably in, let's say, 50 years, somebody would just look back, or probably my child or his child would just say, did you actually travel from your mom's place to your father's place just to have a breakfast? You can always do it holistically. You put a hologram there, sit with them, talk, switch it off. Why you have to move to your place? Why would you move to a different location to do it? And we'll say, buddy, the touch of a human is more important than on a hologram. So you won't get it. Like we said, we are Instagram generation. Everything we click a picture and say, oh, this is for the memory. But for that 1 second, we miss the emotion of that picture. Oh, I just tasted a cake. You can always revise yourself and say, oh, there was a cake, So yeah,
Yeah.
so we
I
will
mean,
become
there's a
exponentially
video,
intelligent.
but you saw the difference, like even in 20 years, right? You look in concerts, right?
There you go.
People were like, "Oh yeah, I remember the concert, blah blah blah." And now you have people with in front of them. It's like the thing that we do, because one day we will look at this concert on this crappy, with a crappy sound on our phone, right? But it's interesting what you say about the future, because it's like, because there is multiple features that are said, in movies, for example. I love movies for that. I think it's really entertaining to learn, even to learn. I learned a lot as a kid. For example, I was watching animes, and I still watch animes, because I believe this is such a good way to learn. You have so many stuff, and I learned, for example, around mythology and around the stars. I wanted to be, astronomy or doing mythology because of animes, because I was like, we were going into that, and it was depth in deep knowledge. And you have movies that are, let's say, Wally, because I have it on my
Yeah. Oh
on my
wow.
right.
Cool.
Wally is a good example of how the future could be, which is like we live on this, huge cruise ship in space, and we're like huge, and our bone density is so low that we can't even walk anymore. Or you have, for the geeks that remember Battlestar Galactica, if you remember that,
Correct.
interplanetary, but
Yeah.
we get crushed over by the silence. Or you have like the latest movie like Ex Machina,
Yeah.
or Her. I don't know if you watch Her, the relationship that the guy has with a
No.
machine.
No. 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 Yeah. 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 I think. Yeah. I've seen it.
It's really interesting to see that, because you're saying on your side you're more optimistic, where you're saying we still have a good future as humans. So you're not into this dystopian kind of kind of future? You still believe that even with the way we, even if there is singularity and everything, you still believe there is still a space for us?
Definitely, it will be. Just imagine, like, first we were like, let's say, I just go back a couple of centuries. We didn't, as a human, we are still the same human. We were, having those stone built tools to get our food. We were killing, we were hunters. And
Yeah,
now the food comes on our table because we have evolved, because our stimuli has changed and we became much more intelligent because we are the dominating species. For example, with all humility, I would say no. I mean, I don't want some controversial saying, "Oh, animals are also humans." No, no, no. They are good. They are very nice. I love them. But yeah. So as humans evolve over centuries, we will keep on evolving. Our human brain works on the stimuli. So if you are given certain stimuli, our behaviors change. Like this hand means many more things, but we have evolved to understand different gestures with, or a different same object with different reception to us. So if we see around somebody is damaging us, let's say we go to the Arnold Schwarzenegger's movies, Terminator, the
yeah,
machines are back on the earth killing us, and how we human species survives. We survived, right? Going by the same inference, if I go, my stimuli is damaging me, so I'll try to be the survival. As human, I will survive. I'll become exponentially intelligent, and I might be saying, "Oh, you are so old." My grandchildren will say, "Why you have to do all this? Why you cook food?" I was like, because it tastes good. If I cook, it is called the act of service for my family. It is not the shopkeeper giving me on the, "Hey sir, your table." So those elements will be there, and we become really exponentially intelligent.
yeah. But it's interesting that you talk always about the past, because I remember, I was yesterday I was at a coffee shop, and there was like books on the shelf next to us, and my friend that was there was like, "Oh, I'm pretty sure it's fake books." And I take one, and it's like, "No, no, it's real." And it was a book from 1909, and it was about bridges, engineers. Like how to. And you open the book, and there is like maps on how to build a bridge and everything. And I was like, we lost all of that.
Yeah.
So I kind of agree with you with the fact that we're evolving, and we still, continue to that. So we change some stuff. So for example, to go to your grandparents, it doesn't take you a week anymore. Like you can find some letters from people going from New York to New Jersey, and it was taking them a week by car. Where us now, it's like not even done in 2 hours now, right? And I agree with you that we evolve in some stuff, but I have a feeling that we're also going back in other stuff, in our learning, in this learning journey. And I don't know what we can do to change that, you know? I don't know how you feel about it. If you see that also, or you're still optimistic.
I'm pretty optimistic. It's just that if you see the larger picture of human intelligence, we have always been evolving. We have come a long way as a human
Mhm.
race. We have come a long way. We have seen many species getting extinct just because they didn't survive. As, like, I don't want to say it, but just like 1 degree rise in the temperature of the Earth, there are few species that will distinct, that will always, cease to exist. But we are surviving. We have got certain, the domes and all the air conditioned environment that we create. Of course, it's going back into the circle, but since we have got to an extent that we can still survive for the next 1 or 2 degrees, I don't want that to happen. I really want the earth to cool down a bit. We need to focus on things which are much more constructive, and of course, like, I am pretty optimistic that it's not going to happen very soon, that the machine's going to take over. The governments are there working, bringing some policies. You can't have it. You can't just, again, we are more evolved species.
Yeah.
We
And
will
there's,
take
there's
control.
a lot of
We
stuff
will
we
take
still don't
control.
know.
Yeah, we will take
There's a lot
control.
of stuff we don't know, right? We don't understand. We don't get it. How the world is changing, we don't get it.
Yep.
We have been there for not a long time, so
Yeah.
it's really hard for us. Someone is agreeing with you, by the way. Subo Roy. AI will still be after human intelligence. He's saying that, so
Yeah,
he's
absolutely. We will set the precedence today so that AI stays behind us. We have to set the precedence today. Yeah,
That's
we're
the
gonna. The
president.
governments have to work together and say no
Ooh,
more.
ooh. Ooh, like there you're saying something that is really hard. The government to work together. That's not gonna happen. And
That
fast
will
on
happen.
top.
Humanity will come together. Very, 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 very sure. Like I'm pretty 100% sure.
And so you're leading the way, in that. And I want to ask you, like, because obviously it's digital leadership, and we have been talking about a lot about learning. Where do you feel like if you want to lead a certain life, or if you're a leader, what is the place of learning in that? And what is a leader for you?
Leader can be in any position. You can be just someone who is starting a job. He's a leader at the role, or probably he might be doing a lot of other things that others don't do at the same profile. So leadership is, what I feel is the taking the responsibility, and by self having your own accountability towards it. Like, since we are moving into this more hybrid or probably work from home culture, so leaders are the one who will survive because they are
Mm,
taking the responsibility on themselves and not by the protocols set by the companies and the corporates and the KPIs and the KRAs. KRAs are good for the people who, like, just to keep the whole process in sync, but this does
yeah.
not necessarily define a leader. And I think the most important element of any leader is the availability. If you are being, you got a ping, or you need someone needs you, if you're not available, you're not available as a leader then. So you have to be available. That's my keyword for, let's say, if you see define or encapsulate the leadership, being available all the time is very, very relevant, very, very important. You may be the best programmer, you may be the best at your skill, but if you're not available, you're of no use.
Mhm. And
So
what was the learning? What was the place of learning in your leadership journey, or for leader for you?
something that never ceases.
Okay.
So learning
Can
is
you can you
very, very
elaborate on that?
important. Yeah, yeah, it's very, very important. So I have let me share a very, very like, kind of anecdote. So when I was in the past, I was building again an edtech company. Like, I was building a product. So I made a app for a very young, very small children, like kindergarten. And I have a maternal uncle. So so the daughter is like 6 years, some at that time. So I just gave her the phone. I said, Hazel, can you please check what is, like, is it all okay? This app is all okay. And like after 3 seconds, she struggled and said, brother, I can't even reach to that submit button. I said, oh, wonderful. So I learned from a 6-year-old, because at that time the size of mobile screens were increasing. Every new model was increasing the size, and these small children didn't have, like, they have very tiny cute hands, they can't reach on the whole of the screen. So the next day I went to the office. I said, oh, just can you please make the submit button across the screen, because it is for a small child. While I was assuming largely the population is right-handed or left-handed, so I was just doing it, I was placing it that way. So my learning happened from a 6-year-old, which a usual UX guy will never tell. They say, no, no, no. The standard says that it has to be of, like, 6 by 12. This is the size of the button. I said, nah, it doesn't work. No, didn't work for my small daughter or the sister. It didn't work for it. So, so learning happens all the time. You will always find learning, especially the if you see the young children, how they learn. They learn. I mean, they are the most intelligent. If they know that while crying they can get their work done, they'll cry. And if they know they will run out of the room and then it gets work done, they know how to do it, how to do their work without harming or without firing a bullet. They know how to get that thing done.
We get the cues quite quickly. I think the best is like I'm gonna ask mom, and then I'm gonna ask dad, because it's like,
Oh yeah,
I know
stimuli.
who to ask for what.
Yeah, stimuli. So we have a
Stimuli.
joke in India. It's like, so when you go to mom, where are my socks? Mom, where are my pants? Mom, where are my towel? And to father, where's mom? We know our cues.
You ask the cues also yourself.
Yeah.
So yes, learning. So for you, it's really part of a journey, part of a training, part of a. And what you're doing is just for kids, or also you think that you can expand it after to adults and all that?
Yeah, actually, if like the depends how we pivot in the future, but considering the fundamentals are intact, we can scale to any level because that's the fundamental that we do, like fundamental of learning. That's what we are doing. So I'm very hopeful we get through, and well, we'll be teaching the university scholars as well. Oh, this is how you learn, buddy. So yeah, so we can do that. And I think another thing is the in a leadership is the curiosity of learning. And where do you find the learning component is like, uh, as my father says, that never say no. And when you go to
Never
a
say
fair,
no.
never say
You
no,
so
never say no, 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 no. So
you say yes,
reception.
or do you say no?
Yeah, yeah. So no, when I say never say no means it's the reception of information. You don't outrightly reject anything because of your bias, because leaders should not be biased. It's very, very dangerous. You can learn from anything and you don't know. Like it's not even the direct information that you are seeking. It's probably the outcome of that information that you can further produce or reproduce to something else. And then you, oh, that's what I wanted. So it's a
Okay.
curiosity, observation. So that makes you the
Curiosity,
fundamental of
continuing
human.
learning, accountability, accessibility. This is everything for you. Like with a learning experience, always be learning. I
Always
like the
learn.
never say no. I like the never say no. Like always approach by you have something to learn. This is also something I want to live by. You know, when I go to interviews, I didn't learn. I learned that through my career. I didn't learn that at the beginning. Nobody told me. But through interviews, I was like, okay, there is something to learn from that person. And I made my quest, each time I was doing an interview, that I need to learn one thing from that person. Even if it has nothing to do with the interview, I needed to learn one thing from each person I meet.
No,
And,
absolutely,
and,
absolutely.
and this is what we did also. This is why you're here
Yeah,
today.
yeah.
So this is
See, we are out of on a podcast.
exactly. This is how we finish on the podcast. We have another question.
Oh, wonderful.
So Abhishek Patel is asking a question. Hi Vivek, what is one of the important lessons learned on the technical side from Byju, BYGU?
Byju's. Oh, that's a unicorn in education.
Okay, and recently heard of a lot of kickback from the consumers. What is your opinion?
Okay, interesting question, Abhishek. So again, it's the more of a corporate thing. So Byju's has been a unicorn and been doing
What
very,
is,
very
what is
nice.
Byju? Just for
Byju's
everyone,
is
can you
into
introduce?
edtech. Yeah, so they are into edtech. They are like Indian unicorn and probably one of the in its peak, it was the number one in the world, and they were building all the animation of the content, and they had brilliant, brilliant. Like I mean, the Ravindran, who's the founder of the company, was absolutely impeccable guy who just gets you to learn things visually. Like, let's say he has to explain some triangle from a circle. He has got all the visuals ready, and he's an impeccable guy. The amount of learning that he has done and how he teaches is a brilliant, brilliant way. So I think what is happening with Byju's is, I don't know why I have to answer this, but yeah, let me answer without any controversy. I think that's more of the commercial side of the business and not the learning side of it. And why it is
Okay.
getting so many kickbacks is some. I'm just I don't know. It's a little risky to answer on a podcast. So I think it's more of a commercial side of it rather than their education system. I mean, they have a very, very beautiful platform, and yeah, I should.
I think it's always hard when you're in the education and at the same time in the business, because it sounds weird to say education is a business. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
largely,
Like,
yeah,
it's always like you're always in this edge where you're like, we're still a business. We need to earn money if we want to continue. But at the same time, it's education, and everybody's saying, and it's true in a certain way, that education should be free,
yeah,
right?
yeah. If we get
So
successful, education would be easy, and it will like we are also into business, but I we are trying to get through on a more comfortable journey for the consumers, and hopefully we'll get and once the education is democratized, so we'll have very, very good products by just going to
And can I ask you, okay, question that has no link, but it's just because it make me think about education and what was done. And I'm asking you the question because I was following a lot gamification
Hmm.
for a while, and I still believe it's an amazing tool. Whether you're building products or you're doing education or training or anything, support and all that. It has a lot of benefits because games are amazing for that. There was a school in New York that they tried to do like 10 years ago or something like that, but was supposed to get teaching through gamification. So what do you think about gamification in the education and into the learning system?
It is a good component of learning. And again, when I say it's gamification has got different segments. One is a simpler one where you see like, the two apples falling and then two apples falling, calculating as four. And then it's too complicated as, you have got all those like, the complex games where you have to
Mm,
the simulation and all, aircraft simulation and everything. So that's also
yeah.
part of the learning. So it depends what is the stimuli and what is the relevance of gamification. It is pretty. I would say it's a shiny part of the story that gamification will actually let the humans learn faster, better, and obviously without any damage or large damage to the society at large.
Damn, I want to continue this discussion, but we are arriving at the end. So I have my few questions I need to ask you. But first, I have a question from Duncan from last week.
Hmm.
So it's the question that I always ask to the next person, right? So the question is, he asked you without knowing it was you. What's the biggest mistake in leadership you've ever made?
Actually, it's a long list. I still have to choose which one ranks the top. I think. Okay, I just choose a random one. One is having insecurity that somebody's going to replace me.
Okay.
Is I think that insecurity has hampered my learning. Eventually, my decline itself because I started growing to be much more insecure and I wasn't giving much rights to other people. So my learning was empower others so that they become your extensions.
So
And
you want to be instinct. This is what you're saying.
I want to be extinct. No, I become the pivot.
You become the pivot to
I've
become
become the
instinct.
focal point when everybody needs, oh, this is the guy I can talk to. So it only happens when you have a very high level of trust and you have got very high level of when people trust each other. So let's say there's a very senior guy and he is still very much involved in the upbringing of their team. So people trust
Mhm.
them. They will never make him extinct. Look at a very recent example. Sam Altman. He was fired, and almost like 700 employees started saying, "Oh, we will resign if he's not reinstated." And thank God he got reinstated. So that's the kind of
That's a
leadership.
good saga. What is happening there? That's a good saga.
It's a good sign. Yeah. The whole industry is like rocked. It's like what? After
What is
being an
happening?
83 or 89 billion company, still the CEO is getting fired. so so that is, I think, just to reinstate everything before we lose the whole context, it's like empower people and build a trust that you're not there to replace them or you're not there to harm them or there is nothing that will go against them till the time you are like in sync, you're building, you're constructive, you're going ahead. That's it, I think. Yeah. So
That's
that's
good.
that's pretty much me. Yeah.
And how did you come up from those insecurities? That you said earlier.
Because at one point, once you, let's see, for example, because I have worked in startup, I have worked in scale ups, I have worked in a very big company, so probably one of the largest companies on the planet Earth. So the my growth actually started in a startup because startup gives you a lot of learning
Okay.
and you have certain constraints also. You can't really do silly mistakes on the point that, oh, I was just testing. Like, you don't test in startups. Startup itself is a test. You don't put
Startup.
in micro question.
this is the, you know, what you just said is the biggest mistake that people make. They believe that in startup you do experiments. It's not, you don't do an experiment. You
Yeah.
truly believe that what you do is going to work.
Yeah, there has to be a very high level of conviction that you have to follow. But I mean,
Of
first
what?
is that you have to convince yourself that it is not an experiment. It has been thought through. I have been doing it. This is how I learn from the customers. This is how I want the certain, let's say, if I'm talking as a product manager, I'm just leading a product. So if I'm not backed up by good statistics, so that's pure. How would I say? It's just like I'm just throwing a stone, and I'm expecting, oh, good Lord, it should stick to the bird. No, it will never happen. So it has to be calculated. You can't be stupid, and well, stupidity is very much against the leadership, so you should not be. so so yeah, so you throw a stone in a direction, expecting that it will hit the target. But if it doesn't, at least you are somewhere there near to the target. You might miss. Excel would say you missed it, but at least you have a learning curve there. Oh, it didn't go that way, but it was still there. So in startups, you can always have a lot of liberty to execute the decisions that you take in a very, very quick turnaround time, but which in large scale or scaled up operations you can't do that. It's very, very slow. And how my learning actually started from a startup. So I was doing my own business, and the learning starts. So after a certain time, it was like I was almost like kind of stretched to the maximum that I can't really do it. So then I start delegating. Then I started trusting people. Okay, you take the business, you take the digital marketing, you take the operations, and I'm trusting you on my life, that you're gonna survive. We together will survive. So that's how you do it. You have to get rid of your insecurities. You can't do that.
Yeah, you have no choice. It's when you have no choice you evolve, and it's
Absolutely. There you go. Very much bullseye.
I have a question again from someone. So before I ask my last question, we're not gonna go out. You see,
Okay.
from Anmol Pandey, he says, and sorry if I mistakes the name, but when you have options to choose from, how to choose what to learn?
Intrinsically, you will always know it. What to choose. The
What
choices.
does it mean for people intrinsically?
Yeah,
Because
intrinsically. I tell you. So my belief system is Sanatan Dharma. So we say what is
sorry,
Dharma for Sanatan. It's for you. It's like Hinduism. So what we are told that in our scriptures that what you should do is your dharma, is your is the conduct that you have to do. What choices you make is going to make you. So our belief system is very consequential. So what you do, you get the consequence. So there is no concept of sin or good or bad. It's just that what you do is what you get. So your choices is based on what you want.
mm-hmm.
So if you want to be, let's say, I want to be commercially successful. So this particular act, is it leading you to be a commercially successful guy? And if it is not, you should have the good amount of confidence to say no to that decision, which we usually don't, because we are, again, humans. We always get delusioned by the uh, today's comfort over tomorrow's luxury. So we are just working that way. So we have to think ourselves larger than ourselves, that my act is going to impact on people beyond me. So if you are
Mm-hmm.
conscious enough, you will make good choices, and you will always be like working, and you would do what you should do. Your choices will always tell you. You will always have a choice. It is your decision that are you taking it today's comfort, or you're choosing to be the future's luxury. So if that is where you are thinking, people are there who will just say, no, I need to be comfortable now. I haven't seen the future. But that is very myopic view of yourself, because you are not here for today, or your presence is not for today and the people around you. It's going to stay for a very long time. Your one act or your one word you said today may impact you after 15 years. Probably you said something in front of your small son, and he will come
Mm-hmm.
back to you after 5 days and say, hey, you said it, so probably it's right. No, I just said it because I was angry. So make a choice between a larger picture, and you will always get to know that are you looking for a today's comfort or tomorrow's luxury. So if that is the thing, you are having a well thoughtful strategy in your life, beyond anything else, you are important. because in Bhagavad Gita it is said that if you pray yourself, you are actually praying the God, because you are part of the God. So go by that choice. That what choices are you making? Because you will get the consequence, and you're gonna get it in today. Today you're gonna get that thing, get the resultant of it.
I hear a lot of wisdom in what you say, but I understand also the question that people are lost now to understand what to do, where to go,
Yeah.
and
So I
what
give you a
choice.
small anecdote. So there was a king, and this story goes. I just reminded. So this king was there, and he said, like, if I get answer to 3 questions, what should I do, and who should I meet, and what is the correct time that I do that particular thing? I'll rule the whole world. So he was just looking for, and then he went to this in a jungle, and then he met a saint, and he was cooking, and then he told so you seem to be a very wise guy. So tell me, what is the right time to do, and who's the right person I should be meeting so that I can expand my kingdom, and what is the right act to do? So the saint said, the right person is the one who you are with. He's the right person. He can be a friend, he can be an enemy, but he's the best person that you can change, you can talk, you can be a friend with or be enemy with. He's the right person. And what is the right time to do it? This is the right time to do it. And what is the right act to do it? Is the right act is what you're doing right now. What you're doing.
Yeah.
You're talking to me, like we are talking. Probably there will be, like, let's say, I don't know how many people are there on the podcast, but then let's say one person takes some value additions into their life, another person takes another value addition, if at all there is. I'm being very optimistic again. So if they take one, so that is the right thing they do it, that they did. And who is the right person? He's the right person who's listening, and I'm probably the right person, again with all humility. And then what is the right action he will do? He will reproduce this information and bring it to his life. Probably is the best thing he can do.
Yeah, and it makes me remember, like when Steve Jobs said, "You have to believe that what you do right now will connect in the future." I
Yeah, you
think
can always, yeah.
first thing that made me remember that. That made me remember, like, like the connecting the dots. I always kept that, since a long time, since I saw that the first time. The connecting the dot, looking backwards.
Yeah.
You can't do it. You can't do it from now and looking forward. It's
Oh,
always you can only see the dots connecting, backwards. And this is what made me remember. We're gonna finish soon. I have 3 questions for you before you go. So, what do you hope will be your legacy? I know you answered a little bit, but I want you to go back to that. What do you hope will be your legacy?
my legacy. Oh, that's very European, having a legacy. I come from a belief system where you are no one is the best legacy. Nobody knows that you existed, and what you gave to the world is all what is remembered. And so we in our how would I say, in our Vedic culture, we don't put our names. We just say that it was there, I discovered, but don't take my name. It was there. God already had it, so it's there. I just happen to be the medium. So I think my legacy, I think it's the same thing. I will stick to the Vedic one. That okay, I get to a mechanism. I just built a tool or a method or any technology that I built it. Let the people use it. I don't want to be remembered like, oh, he did that. It's just that one human walked on this earth, did it, and now all our children, has got the fruit of it.
That's good. I like that. Any leader or a book, movie, TV show that you recommend to follow?
There are many books. Again, I said learning happens all the time. So just follow the people who have been smart, who have been consistent, who has preserved, like, persevered against, like, just read people. I would say you can read any book, and if you try reading the process behind the content, that's the learning that you get. I have got like a couple of my uh, favorite ones, but then it's again, I don't know what the audience is, but like I follow like Vedic books a lot, so I think there are a lot of things. Probably I can recommend one of them. It's there is a one Darshan, which is like Sankhya Darshan. It's a very Hindu thing. I'm not sure what the audience is. So
You talk-
Sankhya Darshan, and it has got a lot of
what is
information. So this Sankhya Darshan is written, like we have got a lot of books like Ved as Vedanta. So we have got Ved, like 4 Veds, and then we have got few darshan, which are like again different scriptures that we have. And so, what Sankhya Darshan tells you, I'm just giving you a very, very layman's understanding. So, Sankhya Darshan gives you how the whole thing works, operates, how the whole thing works. So, let's say I'm talking to you. So, how should I talk? So, this is called like different components. There are 9 components to it. How we talk. So, you will be much more engaged, and you can make people work. Is like, so if you've got certain components, I just give you like 2 or 3, which are like Mahima. If you can give them a larger than life picture to them, they will be like very much intrigued and listening to you. Oh yeah, that sounds very interesting. And then you have the Mahima to it. Mahima is Mahima is the larger picture, and then Arima is like how you deliver it, and then you have got Garima to it. Garima is like the statistics. If you say, when I was saying that there are like different universities to it, and there's a VARK theory and all that stuff, so there's statistics involved into it. So people start believing that, oh, what he's saying is good. So these are the components that.
Is it like in Greek, the art of rhetoric, like the ethos, logos, pathos, and the fourth one? I don't know.
Potentially, it can be. I mean, these books have kind of traveled across the world, so
Yeah.
it can be an
So yeah,
inspiration to each other.
there's certainly influence. Yeah.
Yeah, it can have. Yeah. So,
Nothing is discovered. Everything exists. Let's go. Let's go. I will ask you for the recommendation for that. I will put it in the comments. And for emerging leaders in the digital product realm, what's one piece of advice you wish you'd receive earlier in your career?
be open to the new technologies. Don't be sarcastic, or because eventually we have to get there. There is no other option. There is no other option. You can be pessimistic about things like AI, for example, or ML, or machines coming over and taking over. No, you can't afford to have such a dramatic, pessimistic approach. If you are a digital leader, I can always give an excuse to the conventional leaders or people who are into non-digital space. They can still have an excuse, but for a digital leader, you can't say no. So technology is coming. It's best you learn it, get through it, learn over it, spread the information that there is something coming, be prepared, create an ecosystem for it. That's the way you survive.
And also another thing is that the faster you learn it,
Yeah,
right now, since it's in infant, because right now it's not. I mean, AI and everything is not there yet, right? So the more you get into it right now, the easier it's going to be, because you're going to get it step by step. If you wait for it to be
evolve.
already,
Yeah,
something, it's going to be super hard to. It's going to be really hard to get all the knowledge that you need to have on that. And
absolutely.
this was true because I saw it in my career, because as I was 18, like Google appeared and Facebook appeared, and so you could see the evolution of all of that. The first search on Google was so bad. Like, it was just like giving you links to stuff that you were like, why do you give me that? But you learn through it, and you understand how the algo works and how the things work, and you see it evolve, and you see what it is right now. But you don't forget the foundation, and this
Absolutely.
is super important on the knowledge.
Absolutely. There you are. I'm pretty much there. Yeah. Just enjoy the process
What
of evolution.
Enjoy the process of evolution. That's really good. What will be the question for the next guest?
Okay. Now the table has changed.
Yep.
Oh, that's quite a quite a question.
So the next guest is Antonia
Mhm.
Landy. She's in product operations. So we're going to talk about product operation.
Product operations. Okay. So how much I would say that AI is will be helpful. Like I just want to have this question answered. If like how much is too much in operations? AI
How
context is
much
there.
is
Yeah.
how
How much
much
is
is
too
too
much?
much
Yeah.
in operations?
In operations.
In,
Yeah. Because
in product
operation is human intensive, but then it still has a room to automate a lot of things. So how much is too much in context of AI in operations?
Okay, good. Thanks a lot. I'm gonna ask you a last question. Where can we follow you and find you if people are looking for you?
You can always come to LinkedIn. I think I'm the maximum I'm active is on LinkedIn, and I'm little off the the grid so far, digital grid. So yeah, so find me on LinkedIn, Vivek Sharma 21. So that's my LinkedIn handle. So you can always go there and check that.
Good. Vivek, I truly enjoyed it. Seriously, like
Yeah,
we could continue this discussion. Maybe you will come for a second one where we'll talk about AI and learning and learning management system and all that. I would love to continue the discussion on that. Thanks so much for participating and so much for answering all the questions. And to all the people that participated in that, it was amazing. So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
truly enjoyed.
Thank you so much. And that was really, really Phil. I can't really see that it's a podcast, or it's very comforting with you, man. It's very comforting.
Thank you. Thank you. I will share it on YouTube, so you will be able to find it on YouTube. And in a few weeks, it will be on all the podcast platforms. You will see soon shorts from Vivek if you missed it. I will share some of his knowledge, insights everywhere.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah. Take care, man. See you.